And I'll be with you for today's news. Stay tuned. Women's Association of Tigray issued a statement on Monday denouncing the portal created by International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia to collect evidences of the atrocities committed in Tigray. The statement said planning to gather data from Tigray through internet and telephone communication amidst an all-encompassing siege that has withheld basic services such as telecommunication and electricity remains inconvenient. The statement appreciated efforts made by the international community to carry out independent and impartial investigation, but stressed on the need to follow victim-based approach for the investigation to be credible. St. Mary Hospital in the historical town of Aksum is one of the oldest hospitals in Tigray. It was opened in the year 1966 with the presence of Emperor Haile Selassie and the King of Norway, Olav V. The hospital has grown to the extent that at the start of the war in November of 2020, it could care for some 1,500,000 people. But today, over a year after the start of the siege on the region, the hospital's CEO tells us that the hospital's resources have been exhausted to an extent that it is no longer able to care for inpatients who need food services. Abraham Garutinsay has more.
St. Mary Hospital in the historical town of Aksum is one of the oldest hospitals in Tigray. The hospital is expected to care for some 1.5 million people living in Aksum and surrounding areas. Today, over a year since the start of the siege on the region, the hospital has exhausted all resources and stopped giving inpatient care. Gebremascal Gebrexiabher, CEO of St. Mary Hospital, says the hospital had been depending on contributions from the St. Mary's Church, but even the church has now run out of resources.
Firstly, I want to make clear that St. Mary Hospital, with a capacity of treating 1.5 million patients a year, gave 24 hours service. Today, because of the siege, we are at a near standstill. St. Mary Church used to assist us with the food for our patients, but now we've had to stop. Our inpatients especially are starving, so we can't take in any new patients. The problem is very serious.
The patients at the hospital say a full recovery is unimaginable as they are forced to take their medication without any food.
There's no food here. Most of the time, we take our medication without any food. It's difficult.
Patients need to have a selected diet to help them recover. I have gone through so much suffering. There is no food available. I hope what's happening to us won't happen to others. The doctors, they're the ones paying the ultimate sacrifice. Just imagine, they're working so hard without gloves. They are risking their lives.
Ainalem Mokonnen works in the hospital's kitchen. Ainalem and her fellow employees have been sharing what little aid they have been receiving to support patients at the hospital. But she tells us that this is far short of what the hospital needs to help its patients recover.
Most of the time, they sleep without having eaten. We have been providing them with food contributed from the staff, but everyone has run out of food now. We feel awful when they ask us for food. Only so we can tell them we don't have it. It is most difficult for patients suffering from diabetics.
The more than year-long siege on the region has exhausted Tigray's health system to such a degree that even the most well-equipped hospitals are not able to cope.
The blockade on fuel coming into Tigray has meant that traveling, even within the region, has come to a near standstill. Our reporters visited Mekele's main bus station and spoke with eager travelers hoping to join family or find work, but have been unable to do so. Our reporter Sarun Tsagay has more.
The new eye. This may seem like a parking lot or a bus station before the working days has begun, but no, this is Laji bus station, the capital station at the hay hour. The buses have been parked for months. The only other people you'll find at the station are eager passengers hoping to find a way home. This is the Mikael Gabramedhin, a father who came from Adaga Hamus to the capital for work. He says he's unable to go back to his village due to lack of fuel.
I came here for work. I was supposed to go back yesterday, but I couldn't find a car to take me back, so I stayed the night here. I wasn't planning on staying for the night, so I didn't have money for a motel. It's so expensive, so we skipped our dinner to pay for motel, as we can't sleep out on the streets. We had to go through all this because of lack of fuel.
Gabramedhin Gabriot, a priest from Hausen, says him and his families were hoping to find a way back home, but have learned unfortunately that may not be possible.
It's not because we can't find a car. There are a lot of them here. but they don't have fuel, so they can go anywhere. The cars have been sitting here since last year. The chauffeurs are unable to continue their work.
The drivers in the station on their part noted that before the start of the war on Tigray, their incomes were enough to support their families, but now the drivers are unable to continue their work as the Ethiopian government continues to block the delivery of fuel and other essential items.
I
used to support my family using my income, but I have been out of work for almost a year and a half now. I can't take care of my family no more. We are watching people dying on the road because they don't have means of transportation to take them to a hospital.
People are in desperate need of transportation. They are now using these cars as taxis to travel from one place to another. You have to pay 10 or 15 lira to use them too.
Close to 5 months into the humanitarian truce, and the Ethiopian government has continued to block access for fuel and essential supplies, making it impossible for life to return to anything resembling normalcy.
Zoonotic diseases that have nearly been eradicated before the start of the war on Tigray are now spreading rapidly. According to Dr. Rey Isaias, deputy head of Tigray's Bureau of Health, 42 people have died due to rabies and 12 others due to anthrax. The deputy had emphasized that the rapid spread of these zoonotic diseases could pose a danger to the world as the medical system in Tigray remains weak. Mintakidana.
Animals can sometimes carry harmful germs that can spread to people and cause illness. These are known as zoonotic diseases or zoonosis. Zoonotic diseases are caused by harmful germs like viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungi. These germs can cause many different types of illnesses in people and animals, ranging from mild to serious and sometimes even death. These infectious diseases, while having been nearly eradicated before the start of the war, are now spreading rapidly, according to Dr. Rey Isaias, deputy head of Tigray Health Bureau. 42 people have lost their lives due to rabies and 12 others due to anthrax.
Currently, we are having this reports of zoonotic disease such as anthrax and rabies coming from the community. We know that anthrax is a reportable case. We should get a report immediately from the community within 24 hours. So, due to the siege and destruction of the health information system in Tigray, we are not getting this information as fast as possible. And because of this, we just receive reports from the community that there are cases. Till now, we have 116 cases from the community, of course, from almost all zones except the western zone, that it is under the expansionist. So, the 116 cases with a total of 12 days is reported, and those reporting redas are almost 18, though they are from almost the 6 zones. So currently, this is status of anthrax, and also we are getting cases for rabies as well. So rabies case is also prevalent now, and then before the war there were cases, but the days was insignificant. I mean, it was too low, that 1 or 2. But currently, the cases that are reported as dog bite are more than in hundreds, actually. But the days is significant, like almost 42 days report was encountered till now. And then we believe that this report is underreported because as I mentioned, the health information system is distracted, looted. So the health information system is incapable of delivering the adequate and timely reports.
The deputy head emphasizes that the rapid spread of these infectious diseases is only possible due to the near-complete collapse of Tigray's health system that has occurred as a result of the deliberate destruction of its infrastructures by invading forces and the ongoing siege that has meant that Tigray's health system is no longer capable of designing and implementing interventions to curb the spread of these infectious diseases, resulting in the rapid spread of rabies, anthrax, and other diseases.
The zoonotic disease is can be prevented in collaboration with different sectors and by mobilizing society, like implementing this community-based health system. And particularly zoonotic disease, we just prevent by administrating or by mass vaccination to animals. For example, for instance, if we take anthrax, by vaccinating those herbivorous animals like cattle and goat, sheep, we can prevent with this modality. And if we vaccinate, that's the prevalence of the disease will significantly reduce. But currently, because of the siege, because of lack of medicine, because of lack of supplies, such as vaccine, those diseases become prevalent enough in the society. Because the society lives with animals are not vaccinated, and the disease is becoming more prevalent.
According to Dr. Rie, the situation has been exacerbated by the blockade on essential items, as many households are forced to consume carcasses that were affected by anthrax as a way of fending off hunger.
This anthrax infection is affecting the people by different modalities, by contact, because it is having 3 types, like by ingesting this infected carcass, and the other is inhalational. We are advocating that to our people that this practice is dangerous, but because of the siege, because of the hunger, our people is eating this infected carcass. So sadly, I don't know how to explain, but our people is telling us they are choosing to die by eating this infected carcass rather than dying because of lack of food.
Malaria is also rapidly spreading, according to the deputy head, needlessly costing the lives of many in Tigray due to lack of materials necessary for preventing the infectious disease.
For the past almost 2 years, we didn't take these vector control measures, and now for the past almost 17-18 months, we didn't get any medication for malaria. We didn't get any diagnostic kits for malaria. So those cases are becoming outbreaks. Like more than 10 waradas now, there is a high prevalence and high infectious rate of this malaria cases.
The deputy head noted that the rapid spread of these zoonosis diseases in Tigray may come to produce a new kind of infectious disease that could pose a danger to the world, as the medical system in Tigray remains too weak to effectively respond to medical emergencies.
The current situation of communicable disease in Tigray is high. In such kind of crisis, the epidemics and pandemics are becoming a source. So Tigray might be the source for a new emerging event or new pandemic disease, because we are not intervening, we are not preventing. Zoonotic diseases are becoming prevalent. Animal vaccination and animal prevent those zoonotic diseases. We are not making an intervention measure. So if you do this, then we are expecting something to happen.
Asma Ma'ruf Yassin is an IDP from Ab'ala in the Afar region. She learned she was HIV positive over 16 years ago and so took good care of herself and took her medications regularly. But for months now, Asma has not been able to find antiretroviral therapy, while food and shelter remain far from reach. Our reporter Muntakidana has the details.
Asma Ma'ruf Yassin is one of the thousands displaced from Ab'ala Afar. Asma learned that she was HIV positive over 16 years ago and has been taking her medication without fail. But now, due to the blockade on medication and food aid, she's just one of the many that find her health is deteriorating on a daily basis.
I go to either hospital to see if there's any medication, but I always come back empty-handed. They tell me they have no medication because of the siege. There's no access. Lack of medication has been the most difficult thing for me here. People catch so many communicable diseases here, and I'm obviously at greater risk because of my illness.
Asma tells us that her health is further deteriorated more rapidly due to lack of food aid, as food assistance at the IDP camp remains inaccessible.
Since I've been here, I've only received 50 kilograms of food aid. We're suffering. It's so difficult to survive here. We came here to try and save our lives, but life is no better. I weigh 40 kilograms now, and I have these marks all over my body. I never used to get sick, even the simplest allergy, let alone weight loss of this degree. This is because I'm no longer able to care for myself.
Asma tells us that all this is in addition to the difficulties of rainy season. She says her temporary home has been flooded multiple times, leaving it weaker and less likely to survive another flood.
We're living in this tin roof donated by the owners of the land. When it rains, water flows in through every corner. I have to dry every clothes that gets wet by the flooding. The breeze and cold is unbearable. We have no blankets or additional clothes to protect us from the cold.
Asma also shares with us that she sensed that the living condition in the IDP camp is impacting her mental as well as physical health.
I've become intolerant and get easily frustrated. I don't have children, so there's no one to console me.
Asma's story is just one of that of hundreds of thousands of internally displaced persons that find they have left their homes in fear of violence and torture, only to find hunger and a broken health system is what awaits them.
Desta Haile Selassie is a postdoctoral research fellow at Howard University. When the war started in November of 2020 and all communications in the region went silent, him and his friend established an online media platform dedicated to bringing to light atrocities in the region. Desta was tasked with the responsibility of compiling a list of victims despite the comprehensive communications blackout, which contains the names of more than 3,000 civilian victims of atrocities. Our reporter Sarun Zagai has more.
In November of 2021, the Associated Press reported on the story of Desta Haile Selassie, a young man who had been documenting the names of victims of atrocities in the ongoing war on Tigray. Him and his friends from Tighat, an online media platform founded after the start of the war that also featured a comprehensive communications blackout, was solely dedicated to documenting and bringing to light the horrific violence that was perpetrated on civilians and civilian property. Desta, a postdoctoral researcher at Howard University, was tasked with the sole responsibility of compiling a list of victims, a list that now contains the name of 3,291 names.
When the team from the Associated Press interviewed me back, if I remember correctly, I think it was back in November, the total list of victims we had was about 3,100, to be precise, 3,116. And the current list that we have is, I think it's about 3,291, close to 3,300.
Desta fears that the list is only but a drop in comparison to the sea of crimes that were committed in Tigray during Tigray's 8 months long occupation by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces in 2020 and 2021, a fear that is confirmed by the difficulties he faces to collect information from Tigray. For months, Desta had depended on handwritten lists of victims smuggled out of Tigray, posts on social media, and reports by international outlets. But since the start of the siege on Tigray in June of 2021, Desta says there's little to nothing coming out of the region.
I think this is the reason why we have about 3,300 victims so far. And as you know, the number of civilian victims is much more than that. But before June 2021, we have very courageous people helping us from Tigray, on the ground in Tigray, from every district in Tigray, who used to send us handwritten notes about the list of victims, images about the list of victims. I also collect data from social media, posts from family members in the diaspora, or it could be in other parts of Ethiopia. And we also get reports from by the barbaric Eritrean soldiers on the 2nd of December 2020 in the Goda bottles and glass factory. But to be honest, having relatives or family members in the list that I am doing or that I have been doing for more than 21 months, it doesn't make it any different, because documenting what I have been documenting for more than 21 months, reading the stories and watching these horrifying videos, feels like everyone in the list is a close family member of mine.
According to Desta, close to 92% of the victims on the list are male. Most killings perpetrated by the invading Eritrean forces targeted boys and men aged from 12 up to 49, while more than two-thirds of the victims on the list were aged between 18 up to 49, men in the most productive age range in a society.
So the composition of the victims ranges from, for example, if we take age-wise, especially the barbaric Eritrean soldiers, they were targeting young men from the age of 10, 12 to 49. So I remember we had two-thirds of the victims were from age 18 to 49, and this is called the most productive age bracket in the society. And if we see the analysis on a gender basis, so 91.8% of them were male and 7.6% of them were female, and the rest 0.6% of them are unknown.
Recently, Desta has been focused on compiling a list of ethnic Tigrayan Ethiopian National Defense Forces soldiers arbitrarily detained by the Ethiopian government and being held in internment camps across the country, and some even killed. Desta has so far compiled a list of 8,000 Tigrayans, close to half of the 17,000 the Ethiopian government has admitted to detaining.
We have started compiling the list of detainees from November 2020. Because soon after the war started, Abiy Ahmed immediately started detaining the ethnic Tigrayans who were members of the Ethiopian National Defense Force. So their numbers are believed to be from 15,000 to 17,000, and they are languishing in detention in prisons in Addis Ababa, in the south part of Ethiopia, in Afar, and in Redawa. So we have been collecting data about the details about these ex-members of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, for example, in which location they are being detained, the number, their military rank. So we have managed to collect details for about 8,000 to 10,000 of them.
No matter how hard or painful it gets, Desta says he's going to continue his work, hoping and believing that these victims and their loved ones will one day be served justice.
I believe I have a good reason to keep doing it for more than 21 months, because I believe it's very important to document all the war crimes committed in Tigray. No matter how high the emotional toll is, I will keep doing it until justice in any way is delivered to those victims and the people of Tigray.
That's it for me for today. Thank you for your time.